This is the Play Your Position podcast, where we huddle up, call the plays, and inspire you to run your ball into the end zone. Are you ready to score more game-winning touchdowns in your life, business, and career? Then listen up, because it's game time, baby. Now, here's your host, Mary Lou Kaiser.
Hey everyone, Mary Lou Kaiser here. Welcome to another episode of the Play Your Position podcast. It is a new month here at PYP. It is officially March. We are about 3 weeks away from the start of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and as I look out my window, I see signs of spring everywhere. The birds are more active. There are actually tulips popping through the ground, and I saw daffodils yesterday when I was out on my walk. So this makes me happy and energized in a way that I just don't feel the same during the winter. I love winter. I love all the seasons, but there's something so magical about the spring. Now, if you have been listening to the show for a while, you know that this year, 2021, I am dedicating each month of the year to a theme, to a survival skill for 21st century success. And March's theme is money, a topic that intrigues everyone at some level or another. And you remember, again, if you've been listening for a while, I dedicated the month of January to gratitude and how gratitude and a practice of gratitude every day adds wonderful things to your life. February was friendship and forgiveness, some pretty powerful episodes in there. I invite you to go back and listen to some of those episodes if you're new here. And if you heard them already but want a dose of inspiration, never a bad thing to go back and listen over and over again. So this month, March, the theme is money, like I just said. And while money isn't necessarily a survival skill, it's a thing, but it is a thing that we use to survive and thrive. Also managing it, moving it, making it rain, as the old saying goes. These are most definitely skills that play into 21st century success. I recently started reading a book called Donut Economics by Kate Raworth, which presents a new model for how to think about the economy and how it works. I will review that book in a future episode once I'm done reading it. I'll tell you, though, it is already providing me with insights about the economy that I was not aware of, and it is proving to be incredibly thought-provoking. Her ideas are ones I believe we all need to be aware of, so you can stay tuned for that. I'll get that in before the end of the month as it ties directly into the theme of money. But for today, to kick off March, I'm going to tell you a story about a micro-theme of money, and that micro-theme is how subtraction actually leads to multiplication. The story begins in 1989 when I flew to New Zealand for a 3-month cycle tour of both islands with my then boyfriend and my brother. We flew to Auckland, and almost immediately upon arrival, as I got my bike out of its box and started getting everything ready to make our way to our first big destination, which was a town called Rotorua. Now that town still exists, of course. It's about 140 miles or so south of Auckland. And it is a magical place because it's kind of like Yellowstone here in the States in terms of having some geysers and a lot of natural sulfur pools that bubble up and put steam in the air. And it smells like rotten eggs, but it's so cool. And we were excited to get there. And it was going to take us a couple of days, 2 to 3 days to get there. And so here we were, all three of us, getting our bikes assembled, getting all the things that we brought with us. And I'll tell you, despite being incredibly jet lagged, I realized instantly that I had way overpacked. I mean, way overpacked. So that first leg of the ride was a real chore for me because not only were the panniers, those satchels that hang from the bike rack on the back down along the tires, and then I had a pouch on the front handlebars. Not only were those spaces completely packed to the gills, but I had a large red duffel bag, a canvas red duffel bag with brown leather handles, about 20 bungee cords circled around this big blob of a thing on the rack on the back of my bike. And it made me wobble as I rode. It was heavy, it was awkward and cumbersome. And quite frankly, I was not enjoying the ride at all. I just couldn't wait to get to Rotorua. So once we got there, we had our campsite already picked out and reserved, and we set up our tents. And then all three of us realized we had brought too much, but I was definitely the one that brought the most, way too much. And I lay everything out in front of me on the grass and had to make some strategic decisions about what to keep and what to put in a cardboard box and ship back home to the States. Now, I, in my infinite wisdom, thought it would be really smart to bring a fancy outfit on my cycle tour of New Zealand, including a pair of pumps, because in my mind, I thought we might actually go out to a fancy place and I would need a fancy outfit. Again, ludicrous once I was there. And I had also brought 5 or 6 t-shirts. I only needed 2. I had jeans. I had all kinds of things that were absolutely not essential and weighing me down. So all told, I'd say I whittled things down about 75%. I subtracted 75% of the things that I had originally brought and boxed them up, and off they went with, again, my brother's things and my then boyfriend's things were all in this box. And I'll tell you, from that day forward, my ride was light. I felt lean. I was able to enjoy myself, and I did not think one time about any of the things that I had sent home. Not once. And so this story, coming back to how subtraction leads to multiplication. By significantly reducing the things I was carrying on the trip, I increased my enjoyment of the experience 10, 20, even 100-fold. No longer was I bogged down with the things that I didn't need to have a good time. And that freed me up to, like I said, I rode faster. We were able to go farther, and we were able to see more because I wasn't pedaling this unbelievably unwieldy duffel bag stuffed with stuff, right? And so it got me thinking about, what are we all dragging behind us? What is in your red duffel bag that you've strapped to the back of your bike? How much are you carrying that isn't multiplying your enjoyment of the work you do and the life you lead? And what's the worst thing that could happen if you took some time this week to lay everything out on the grass in front of you and you made some judicious decisions about what to keep on the next leg of your journey and what to pack up in a box and store somewhere for later use? Or perhaps even better, what if you gave away that stuff for good? I have a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, consultants, freelancers. I have conversations every single week with people who are doing this kind of work. And I am amazed at how much stuff they're carrying with them. I recently had a conversation with a woman who has an amazing, amazing platform for her business. In other words, she's put in the time to build the basic infrastructure. So she has a website that is up to date, and she's present on some of the social channels. And as we were talking, I just marveled at how she was listing off in rapid fire fashion all the things that she believes she needs to be doing in order to be successful, in order to have a thriving business. And it was honestly, team, that conversation that got me thinking about this story. I hadn't thought about this story in a long time. And I just was immediately back in New Zealand facing the literal enormity of having too much stuff and facing the truth that if I was going to insist on taking it with me, I was going to slow down everyone in the group, and I was going to have to work a lot harder just physically to peddle all that stuff. And I probably wasn't going to use most of it anyway, because I've learned that about myself over the years. Now, I was much younger then, and so I was still learning some of these lessons. But the fact remains is that, at least here in the States, we have so many people have bought into this equation that says more stuff equals more happiness or more success. Back in the 80s, there was a bumper sticker that was so popular. It seemed like every car had it on their bumper, and it said, "He who dies with the most toys wins." No, he who dies, dies. You can't take your toys with you. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your stuff with you. For example, too much stuff here in the States, there are countless articles about how the amount of things that we own is robbing us of our life. So here are a handful of stats that I pulled just to give you some context, okay? According to the LA Times, there are 300,000 items in the average American home. 300,000 items in the average American home. The average size of the American home has nearly tripled in size over the past 50 years, and that comes from NPR. 25% of American homeowners with two-car garages don't have room to park cars inside of them, and 32% only have room for one vehicle. This comes from the U.S. Department of Energy. The United States has upward of 50,000 storage facilities, more than 5 times the number of Starbucks. Currently, there is 7.3 square feet of self-storage space for every man, woman, and child in the U.S. Thus, it is physically possible that every American could stand all at the same time under the total canopy of self-storage roofing. The average American woman, according to Forbes, owns 30 outfits, one for every day of the month. Compare that to 1930, when that figure was 9. And another stat from Forbes, the average American family spends $1,700 on clothes annually, while, according to the Huffington Post, the average American throws away 65 pounds of clothing per year. So I could go on and on. I'll put a link to this essay that I found online if you want to read more about it. But my point is that accumulation of things is actually taking away from the overall joy that we can have. And in an interesting twist, by subtracting the number of things that we have and that we carry with us, whether it's metaphorically or physically, we actually multiply the joy, happiness, and satisfaction that we can get from our lives. So that is some food for thought today for you this week, Team PYP, as we head into the time of year when spring cleaning is a popular thing for people to do. Again, I encourage you to take some inventory. Take time to make inventory of the physical things that you're carrying that are not adding value. And more importantly, if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, coach, consultant, freelancer, artist, writer, musician, somebody who is wanting to travel lighter, more efficiently on the next leg of your journey, take the time to lay it all out there. Reduce it by half if you can. 75%, wow, that would be phenomenal. And see what happens, right? See what happens. Some things to think about. Until next time, remember, another thing to think about. Remember this, team. It is always a great day to get out there and play your position. This is Mary Lou Kaiser. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Hey team, have you ever wondered what it would be like to feel excited about your work or business again? For more information on how I can help get your business or career back on track, go to bit.ly/Hello Mary Lou PYP. The link is also in the show notes, bit.ly/HELLOMARYLOUPYP.
Got a great key offensive strategy you like to share? Write to us at coach@pyppodcast.com or on Twitter, use #PYP and let us know how you're running your ball into the end zone for those game-winning touchdowns.